Hello guys, this is Caroline, the Queen of Tech on Yedima, and today I want to do a quick tutorial on how to make your static web pages within your Kajabi more visually appealing. So under website static pages and create a new page, we can create our first static page here. So I'm going to call it test static, and the first problem people have with static pages is that they don't look very nice out of the box. There needs to be some work done. So I'm going to preview this page that I just did, and you can see that with no CSS styling, with just putting in the text here, there's not much you have to look at, and that's why many people go and use landing pages, because they're already in a template fashion and they get a better look and feel from landing pages. But then you suffer at the cost of having different landing pages contributing towards your site and a different look and feel across landing pages. You get that patchwork feel in the site where different pages look different. So if you work within your static pages, it does keep the template visual of the site. So how are we going to do this? Well, someone asked today, how do they add images to a static page in a grid fashion? So they want the images to be going across, 1, 2, 3 across, and they don't want them to just appear in a linear fashion, one under the other, which is what a lot of people do with this page because they don't know how to manipulate it. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. Now it does mean that you're going to have to input some code, but I'm going to show you what it is and how it works. So I'm going to upload one image, and then I want another image, so upload again, 2 images, and maybe one more, because remember I said I want them to be in a grid fashion. I want 1, 2, 3 across. Okay, oops, excuse me. Yep. Okay, so I have 3 images, and let me save that. Oops, excuse me, save, and quickly preview to see what this page looks like. Now I have 3 gorgeous images, but the issue is, first of all, they're not going across. I am on a desktop and I want them to go across when I'm on a desktop. On a phone, I want it to act differently. You can't have 3 images going across on a phone, otherwise you're going to get a scroll bar. So we want it to act responsively on a phone. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, let's make this browser act responsively for the images. If I shrink this page, we can see that these images are not responsive, and this is what somebody would probably see on a phone, and that is not the desired effect. Okay, so let's go back and fix that first. We're going to fix issues iteratively so you can see how to fix this page. So the first thing I would do is I would go to each image tag and I would add this CSS class. Now this is a Bootstrap class. It comes with Bootstrap, which Kajabi uses, and it's called image responsive. So you would put those on every single image that you wanted to act responsively. Take the whole class, image responsive, and on every image tag, just after the img, you can put it. That's if there's no other classes on the image tag. If there is a class, you just take the img responsive and put it within the existing image class. And there you go. I've just put one there, one here. Oops, did I put one here? Yep, put one there. And we need one here. Okay, we have 3. So save, and let's have a quick look and see what that page would look like. Now it looks the same because I'm still at desktop level, but I'm going to shrink this page now, and you can see that it's keeping its shape nicely. So if this were a phone, this is what this would look like. Nice, right? You can see the images, but remember we said that we want it on desktop, we want it in a different fashion, we want it in a grid fashion. So let's quickly nip back here and see what we can do. Now this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated, and I'm going to give you the code. So first of all, I am going to put a placeholder here. I'm not going to delete this existing code, I'm going to keep it, but I just want you to see the better example. So I'm going to put a placeholder here. This isn't part of the fix, this is just a placeholder to tell you, to show you before and after. Okay, so I have a code snippet here, and this is some responsive CSS that I created, but it's basically Bootstrap code that New Kajabi has kind of redoctored and used some specific classes. So usually you can just use normal Bootstrap code, which is all over the internet. You can look that up, to create a grid, because a Bootstrap allows you to create pages that are a little bit more intricate in a grid fashion. So I'm going to quickly explain what this is. Anytime you want a new row of data, you would wrap it in a grid class. Now, usually it's row for Bootstrap, but New Kajabi has called it grid. So we call it grid. And then if we want to divide the page into thirds, that means we want three pictures going across, we do this: col, mid, 1/3, in this fashion. And that's 3 columns, and they're taken up, each is taken up 1/3 of the screen space. If I wanted to have 4 images going across, we would create 4 divs here, sections, and we would change this to 1/4, meaning each div is going to take up 1/4 of the space, but we're doing it in thirds. Now, do you have to understand everything? There's tutorials on Bootstrap. You can investigate what this is, but I'm going to give you the code, and from this code you're going to be able to change it to do whatever dimension you want. You add in the fraction here. So I'm going to copy this code. Now, what I will do first of all is, well, let's copy it and take it to the editor, but you can also do this work in Notepad or TextPad. I've got Sublime Text up to do the work there. So I've given you the shell here. Now, for each image, take the image tag here, okay? Take the image tag and paste it in each div. 1 per div, okay? You've got 3 sections, 1 per div, right there. So we're going to take another one here. Yes, we are coding, and sometimes you can't get away from it, but I'm showing you exactly what you need to do and giving you the structure of the code that will do this for you. So now I have created the structure. Within each div, I just pasted the code for the image above, and I'm going to click OK here, save here, and quickly let's preview. Now this is the old code we had, but look how we have it here. It is responsive, okay? Yes, they become smaller because they have to fit the same space, but you get to see. Now, what happens when we make this screen responsive for a mobile phone? Do I want them to stay in the same grid fashion? No, I want them to stack, and they stack nicely. So you still have a great visual effect when you're looking at a phone. It's responsive, but when I'm looking at a desktop, I want them to be in this fashion, and that's what Bootstrap code does, okay? I've showed you Bootstrap. I've showed you how New Kajabi have kind of altered some of the class names so they work. So if you're using traditional Bootstrap, or you've gone to look about it, gone to look it up on the internet, and you figured it out, and then you put it in, it doesn't work, that's because New Kajabi tweaked it. So when Bootstrap says row, New Kajabi says grid, okay? Now, you could just go and get the normal Bootstrap CSS file and reference that instead. But the problem is you will overlap a lot of styles, I believe, because it's really duplicating what New Kajabi has already. They've taken Bootstrap and they've tweaked it. So for you to put Bootstrap in there again, you will really clash on certain styles, I believe. So I wouldn't do that. I would just use the new names that New Kajabi has used. They use grid and they use fractions. I know I'm talking technically, but if you look around the subject, you'll understand. And if you don't want to go that deep, just take the snippet that I gave you, and that makes a grid of 3, okay? And I'm going to do something very quickly just to demonstrate how I could get a grid of 4. So I will go here to the code, right? This is where I started the grid, and very quickly I will change these to fourths. 1, 2, 3. Well, if they're in fourths, I have to have a 4th column, right? So I take an extra column here, an extra div here. Where are we? Let's take one from up here so it doesn't look confusing. Div, copy that and just put it right there. So I've just created an extra div, right? And I would click OK, save, preview, and let's see what we have. Now I've got 4 across. I've added an extra one. So you see the idea there? That's how you make them stack, okay? So I've given you a great power move. There's one extra tip here. I don't think it's so important, but let me just show you if you're really particular about how it looks. When it's stacked, there was no space under each stacking. So what we can do here is on the image, we can add a little code, and it goes under style this time. So we can create a style. Whoops, excuse me. Style equals, and I just want you to see how I'm doing that. Style equals, whoops. Okay, and then we're going to say margin. I'm going to give a margin to each bottom. I'm going to give a bottom to each margin. Excuse me, it's funny. Okay, so I can take this, and basically this says under each image, give a gap. Okay, so you would put it on each image tag, a style tag, right there. Create a space there, and on this one, do one there, and on this one, do one. You can put them anywhere within the image tag, and let's click on save. Okay, and save, preview. Yes, now it's, you see we still have it the same, but let's see what happens when we stack. Do you see? I've got some nice gaps in between so they don't look like they're stuck together. So basically what I did is I put a 20 pixel margin, which gives a gap under each image, which gives it a nice visual effect. All right, so this is how we do it. And you know, if you can have some lovely visuals. It doesn't just have to be images. I could take this whole grid here that I created. Okay, so this is a grid here, and I could create another grid right underneath it. Let's see if I can do that. I could just copy it, and you just get 2, right? So every time you want a new row, you would just copy what you have, and there you go. There, oh, gorgeous, right? So you could have text here, you could have an image here, you can do all kinds of beautiful stuff. And another quick power move is you could just take that, right? Let's go to, I can take the whole thing, but I have a row already in memory. So let's go here and let's quickly nip over to our blog. Okay, so I see blog posts always look linear in fashion, one under the other, but look, we can take this, edit the code here, paste it in here, and we can create a blog post that looks a lot more sophisticated than a normal, with just text, image, one under the other. Click on save here, and look what I've done with this blog post. There you go, looks really good, right? Some extra oomph to your blog. Instead of having one image and text, an image and text, you can do something visually appealing, and then on your desktop, on your mobile view, it would stack. Okay, so that's how you basically get grids of information. Okay, I will probably publish this little grid here, and you can use this as the basis for creating sections, grids within your code in areas where you want. You just fill in between the div with the content that you want, and you'll get a nice grid. It will show up responsively on your pages, and you can get rid of landing pages when you don't want them. You can stay to static pages, and you can basically have them look as if a designer had created it. Okay, well, I think that's all for now. It was a little bit complicated. It does require you to watch the video more than once to get certain concepts. There is coding. You can't get away from coding when you want to do certain things, but I've laid it all out for you. Okay, well, I hope this helps you. Thank you, and bye-bye.